After helping hundreds of customers over the years with setting up and troubleshooting their espresso grinder, here's exactly what I would do to set up an espresso grinder for the first time. So today we're going to be unboxing the Eureka Silenzio 55. This is a stepless manual timer grinder, so it's going to be applicable to a lot of the stepless grinders that Eureka makes, and there's plenty of other stepless grinders out there. If you have a grinder that has a screen where you can dial in the time or the weight, it's going to be a little bit different, and a step grinder is going to be a little bit different, but this video is still going to be applicable nonetheless. Also, if you just want to see a Eureka grinder that's fresh out of the box being opened, this is going to be an enjoyable video for you. You don't need to have, this grinder on hand. So we're going to get started with this unboxing. We have the manual, we have the bean hopper, which comes with the lid and the bean hopper gate inside. There's the grinder here, and then there's the portafilter hook or fork. The Silenzio 55 comes with a adjustable fork, so that's what this model is here. You may have one that looks a little bit different. This is going to be kind of what it looks like for you. So here's that bean hopper. We have the lid, the bean hopper gate, and the hopper itself. What I would do with this and the portafilter hook, since they both come off of the machine, I would just give these a quick rinse. Soap and water would be good for these, and make sure that they're dried thoroughly. You don't want any moisture on those. You're going to want to put the portafilter fork in the front of the machine. You'll see that there's a small notch here that is exactly where this tab fits in, and then you can kind of just insert it and make sure that the it's kind of locked in place. There you have it. If you need to adjust it, you'll use a Phillips screw to loosen this screw and adjust it up and down depending on what portafilter your espresso machine has. I'm going to keep it at this setting for right now, and then once the hopper is clean and dry, you just insert it into the top, and then on the back of the grinder there's a screw right here, and this screw pushes into a little gasket at the back of the hopper, and it just locks it in place. That way it's nice and sturdy. And then once you've done that, you can unwrap the power cord and get it plugged in. I'm gonna get cleaned up. I'm gonna grab an espresso machine, some coffee beans, and a scale, and we're gonna get this thing dialed in for the first time. All right, so we have our espresso machine. We're using a Silvia, Ranchillo Silvia today, and we have our grinder. We have some coffee beans, and then I have a scale. You're gonna want a scale that does down to 0.1 grams. Some scales only do like to 1 gram or half a gram, but 1/10 of a gram is gonna be what you really want for something like this. I also have my tamping mat, and I have a distributor, which can help just even out your coffee grounds when it's in the portafilter, but not necessary if that's not something that you have. And so I'm gonna get the beans. We're gonna get started. I have the bean hopper gate closed right now. That means that there is no beans actually being fed down into the hopper. If yours doesn't have it, I wouldn't put the beans in quite yet, but I am going to for today. So that's just about half a bag. This hopper will hold about 12 to 13 ounces, so about a full specialty coffee bag like this. And with the bean hopper closed, I am now going to show you a trick that I use for dialing in at home. So I'm going to switch the grinder on, and the Silenzio 55 has both a timed setting, and then you push the button here for a manual setting. That basically just means that you either have to push and hold the button on the front down with the portafilter, or your finger in this case, or it's on a timer from 0 to 60 seconds, but we're gonna use the manual mode right now. So I'm gonna get the grinder started, and you can hear it humming just a little bit. And with it started, I'm just holding it down so that it keeps running. Bean hopper gate is closed. I'm gonna keep turning finer on the dial, which in this case, if you're facing the grinder, it's clockwise to get. And if you hear that noise, and you want to let go because that is the burrs touching. And so now we know that the grinder at that setting is exactly as fine as it can be. You wouldn't want to grind at this setting because the burrs are touching, but here's that sound again. It's kind of a harsh screeching noise. Once you get to there, you take note of where you are at on your dial, and I just do half a rotation and then one more half rotation. So it's a full rotation, but it's easier to kind of, half rotate it for me. And then now when I run the grinder, there will be no more chirping because the burrs are not touching. And this is usually a pretty good starting point for where you want your beans to be for espresso. So now I'm gonna put the lid on. I'm gonna open the bean hopper gate, and then I'm gonna get my scale all set up. So today I'm using a Kaya Lunar, but you can use any scale that fits your portafilter. I'm using it with a weigh plate. I'm gonna put everything on here, and then we're gonna get it tared out. What we're aiming for is about 18 grams right now. So because this doesn't have, a screen or grind by weight, we're gonna have to dial that in as well as the grind size. So now I'm gonna set it to timed. And I know that the Silenzio does about 1.5 grams per second. So we're gonna aim about 1/6 of the way on the dial. It's a little finicky, with this manual dial, but it's about 1/6 of the way because we're wanting to get about 10 seconds and seeing where we're gonna go from there. So I'm just gonna set it there, lock the setting in, and then we're gonna take our portafilter and we're gonna get the first grinding started. So there's gonna be some coffee that you're gonna use, in this process. So don't use your fanciest beans for this, but once you're dialed in, you're usually pretty good there. And then I'm also gonna take a look at the grind size. Now you want what is considered like a very fine sand texture. You don't want it to be like talcum powder or baby powder, but you also don't want it to look like, how a drip coffee type of grind would look like. It should just feel a little bit coarse, like a little sandy, not powdery, but it also shouldn't be like individual grains. It's kind of in between there, and that's gonna be a good setting. And I think this is pretty decent for right now, so we're gonna keep it at that. But to get back to the grinder and dialing in, this is exactly what I would do at home when I unbox a grinder for the first time. No matter what machine, no matter what grinder, it's gonna be a very similar process. But again, beans, water, machines, everything is different. So it's just general guidelines to make sure that you're going in the right direction for the espresso shot that you're looking for.